Hey there, everybody. You are live. You are not hallucinating. It is a Thursday night. It is the OTPH show. Tonight, I call this one Freestyle because I have no idea what the fuck I'm going to talk about. Guys, we are going to have a good show because we are going to talk about whatever comes to mind. And I've been kind of squirrely today, so this may actually not be a bad thing. Guys, we are at the precipice of quite possibly one of the biggest turning points in our country next to the Revolutionary War. We are talking about this presidential election between Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. And I watched probably about 20 minutes of the debate the other night because that's about all I could stand. Because when you ask me a question, I should answer the question. And all too often, they were not. Guys, you are watching live. It is the fun show. It is the show that you all love. It is called the OTPH Show. We are live tonight, Thursday, September 12th. And now it's the opener. Hey everybody, my name is David Mason, aka the Goose, aka all the other fun things, also known as the Bowling Squirrel. If you follow my other YouTube channel, guys, this is the OTPH show. This is the show that you guys tune into because we tell you as it is, how it is, why it is, and we don't tell you what we think about it because you guys need to form your own opinion, unlike ABC News. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee too, guys. It's what keeps me going. This hyperactive. So yeah, I watched the opening of the debate the other night, and the first problem I had was immediately when they asked Kamala Harris about if she feels that the economy is better now than it was under Donald Trump, and not once in that first 2 minutes of that did she actually mention anything to do with the economy. The fact that the economy is worse now than it has ever than it has been in a very long time, and she kept wanting to blame former President Trump for a lot of things. Um, but I'm not very happy with ABC News in the first place because they seem to be swayed heavily against former President Trump. Listen, they yelled at both of them. Okay, I am not going to. Hey, Chad, what's happening, dude? Oh, it's all good in the hood. I figured we got home early enough from karate where I could have a cup of coffee and give you guys a little bit of a talking to because I know you guys missed the OTPH show and it's not that we don't wanna do it, it's just I'm crazy busy right now, I'm not gonna lie to anybody. So, yeah, so I watched the opening of it, and neither one of them ever really answered the question for what it was supposed to be. Trump just wanted to focus on the fact that the economy sucks, our border is open more than a hooker, and that basically Kamala Harris had been in office for 3 years. All the things she said she's going to do when elected president, she could have already done, which I don't disagree at all. The problem I have and I was also watching old clips of JFK versus Richard Nixon, and they were very polite to one another. We should have a peaceful debate. We should talk about the issue and why you're right or you're wrong, why I'm right and you're wrong, and vice versa. We should be able to talk to each other, not go, I'm going to piss him off so he says something stupid. Kamala Harris looked like she was absolutely lost out there. Anytime he rebutted, her only thing was to look like she just farted and can smell it herself. I have a problem, and President Trump is not wrong. You had 3.5 years to make this country what you think it should be, and you have not. What are you waiting for? The fact that, I've learned a lot because I dive into the news. I don't dive in based upon what ABC, CNN, CBS, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, which is the WWE of professional news. I look at it this way, guys. We are being told what to think, and a lot of people fall for it. What we should do is we need to learn how to watch things objectively and think if it what we want it to be. Number one, both of them are going to lie. What they want to do is they want to make the other candidate look bad, so that way they don't have to look bad themselves. But really, what was accomplished in the other night's debate? We've learned that the economy is an absolute shit show, and Kamala Harris's plan of giving $6,000 per child in tax credit is only going to hurt because where's that extra money coming from? See, for those of you who don't know and think money grows on trees, no, money comes from trees, yes, but that does not grow, and this country does not make money itself. I would not be surprised because, quite frankly, her delayed responses were almost like she was listening to somebody. But I also not surprised because Joe Biden had notes and I mean all polls are pointing towards yeah, I think she was wearing something because I don't think she's qualified to lead a Girl Scout troop, let alone the country. And look, I have no problem with a woman being president. I have no problem with a black person being president. I have a massive problem with someone who has done nothing and had a career total of nothing to show, aka Joe Biden. Joe Biden's political career has been nothing short of a joke. I mean, even Ronald Reagan made fun of Joe Biden. That's saying something how long Joe Biden was in politics, but yet never accomplished anything other than a 1993 crime bill. What exactly has Vice President Kamala Harris actually done? Let's take a step back and look at her accomplishment. I can't think of any either. When she was bragging about all the things she did as the district attorney, but it also looked like people pleaded down, people pleaded guilty. She did plea deals. She did a lot of stuff to pad those stats. Here's the thing: you did nothing as a senator. You're owing 164 in any bill that you've sponsored or written yourself. How do you think we're going to perceive you as a leader if nobody wants to follow you? Here's the thing, the Afghanistan withdrawal, that turned into a gigantic clusterfuck the minute Trump was out of office. Those 13 men and women that died that day should not have, considering Donald Trump had a meeting with Taliban leaders and literally looked them dead in the eye and goes, if one hair on an American gets harmed in any way, I will blow you up. And he took a picture of the house of the Taliban leader out of his pocket and put it right in front of him. And for 18 months, the Taliban did nothing until we brought in weakness. Until weakness was brought in, Russia did not make an advancement or a step toward Ukraine in any way, shape, or form. Donald Trump told Putin basically it would be a shame that all that gold in the Kremlin would melt. And they looked at him and went, point proven, sir. 8 years under Obama, Russia was in Crimea, annexed it from Ukraine. Trump in office for 4 years, no wars anywhere in the world. No new wars, no current wars. Nobody was fighting. Everybody got the fuck along. On top of that, if you want to add a little bit of caveat here too, Israel and Palestine got along. They signed a major peace deal with Trump was the one that authored. So you guys look at this man and look, listen, I think the man's an asshole. I think you can see that. I quite frankly can't stand listening to him for more than 5 minutes out of whack. But when you look at the body of work, what he did in 4 short years and what he had to deal with, because really it takes 3 years, 3.5 years, because don't forget the last half was COVID. So let's go down the line. No new word. You only needed about $70,000 a year to be able to afford a home. Right now, you need about $120,000 to $125,000 a year just to be able to afford to make a down payment on a home because the housing market is through the roof. And no, it's not because nobody's wanting to buy. Nobody can afford it, and a lot of big companies are buying it and then selling it for such a high margin. Nobody can actually afford it anymore. But let's add into the caveat that our border, millions and millions and millions and millions of undocumented aliens are coming through. We're not just talking about Mexicans. We're not talking about Guatemalans. We're not talking about even Venezuelans. We are talking about all around the world because they figure that southern border is open. We're talking Turkish national, Chinese national, people that could do harm and nobody will even know it. There was a guy who was on a terrorist no-fly list that was allowed to fly into the country. The FBI interrogated him, and he's like, "Oh no, we're all good." And they said, "All right." And then 3 days later, they arrested him because he was plotting to assassinate Donald Trump. How do you want that leadership? Now, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not telling you candidate A B better because, quite honestly, I fully in, invested in. Sorry, getting a message. So, but when you look at it, what has the current regime, the current leadership done? Let's start with this one. Undocumented immigrants. Donald Trump. Okay, if you want to have the mass deportation I say go for it. If you don't belong here, you should get out of here. That's just like anywhere else. I also personally and strongly believe that listen, you have the right to be whatever you believe that you are, but I do not have to deal with it. Meaning LGBT community, you guys do you, I do me, we all get along famously, but you should not get gender affirming care for children at all. Your child is too young to determine what they believe that they are. So what does that mean? Oh, thank you. And what does that mean personally? I mean, your child should be allowed to decide when they are old enough to legally decide. Democrats want to pass bills on which they're saying that undocumented immigrants should have the right to vote. Oh, hell no. It's just like you not owning any piece of my company, but telling me how to run it and what I should do with it. And absolutely not. You have no right. You don't belong here. Go back home. You want to be an immigrant, you want to come to this country and live in America, do it the proper way, or get the fuck out. Kamala Harris wants to do a 25% unrealized gain tax. For those of you who don't know what an unrealized gain is, it's where, let's say you buy a home for $100,000, right now currently worth $300,000. That value of $200,000 improvement, you would get a $50,000 tax bill for stuff you don't even have, for money you don't even have. She wants to tax you on that. And then she says, oh, but then we're going to get about $50,000 small business credit. Here's the problem with that. You have to be profitable first. She didn't mention that. You would have to be proving that you make a profit in order for her to give you the handout. See, that's another issue that I'm having. Yeah, on top of that 44% tax. Here's the thing. Under Donald Trump, the tax that he did, the way he did it, one tax bracket went up, everybody else stayed the same. He basically just said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna give you more money back in your check now. And then what we're gonna do is at the end of the year when you file your taxes, you're just not gonna get as much back, but you're still gonna break out. You're just getting more of it immediately." Which makes sense. But we need somebody to run this country like a business, not like a playground, not like a bunch of toddlers with $100 that go, "I can make it into 1,000." This past 3.5 years have been very stressful on me and my family, based upon the fact that my wife and I work a combined almost 90 hours a week, plus the side gig with Dave's Logo Design and Apparel, which if you go to daveslogoapparel.com, you can find a lot of cool shit there. If not, I can make it. But when you think about it, we're paying more than ever before. Food is almost unobtainable unless you spend a couple $100. And that's for a family of four. A family of four, back when I was younger, if you spent $150 on groceries, people were yelling at you. We're also talking about, basic necessities. We're not talking about going out and getting Maine lobsters, and all of a sudden it's like, well, dude, if you weren't having that big of a if you weren't eating lobster, you could afford it. Sorry, eating dinner too. When you really think about it, we can't afford to do anything. People are just working to pay the next bill. I've had weeks where my paycheck didn't even make it to the weekend, and I was broke again where I prayed throughout the week I'd have enough gas. That's when you ask yourself, do we really want that? Do we really want to keep living in a world where our leadership throws billion and billion and billion of dollars to other countries and forget that the people here who are suffering are not worthy, apparently? Or do you want to have a leader that cares about the people, that treats the government like a business, makes it profitable to where we get out from underneath all this? And Donald Trump made us energy independent. Yes, he opened up the Keystone Pipeline, but he also put sanctions on Iran that basically made them terror broke. Joe Biden comes in office. Joe Biden reverses all that. Suddenly, terrorists are funded again. Now let's look a little bit further. Again, Kamala Harris is vice president of the country. She's basically half a step below Donald Trump. Not but Joe Biden. Sorry, I had a Biden moment. She could have walked into the White House's Oval Office and go, "Hey, Joe, why don't we pass this? It's going to really help the country." But she hasn't. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, and I know you and I are having a fun little conversation right now. Isn't a lot of what she wants to do policy wise exactly what Donald Trump wanted to do? Border wall, border security, mass deportation. The thing is she's stuck on one thing. We gotta tax the wealthy. Here's a few little fun factoids. I'm gonna break out my calculator to make sure I'm right. If I make $1 billion in a year, and I have to pay just a mere 1%, that is $10 million. I pay $10 million out of my $1 billion that I've gained annually. Now, a guy like me, let's say I make $65,000 a year, and I have to pay 10%. I'm only paying $6,500 in taxes. I'm at a higher percentage than they are, but because they make more, that meager 1% that they're paying pays way more than me. And by that, I'm not joking. 10 million divided by 6,500. They're paying almost 1,538 times more than what I am, but yet I'm paying 9% more than they are. We don't need to tax the wealthy. We don't need to take that money because they are the one funding the country as it is. What we need to do, let's start with the simplicity. Look, I understand times are tough. People are having a hard time finding jobs. But there are some people who make a career out of being on welfare, make a career out of being on government assisted, SNAP, EBT, Section 8, and all that other stuff. They made it because it's easier and it does what they needed to. Those are the people you need to talk to and say, "Hey, you got 6 months to find a job, or we're pulling the plug and we're taking the kids too." Some people figured, "Hey, let's have another kid." If Kamala Harris is elected and gives $6,000 per child, what's going to stop a poorer family from going? You know what? If we pop out a couple more kids, we'll get more back in taxes because we're going to get so much money in tax breaks. And I worry. I personally am worried because I'm no financial expert by any stretch of the imagination. If anybody would ask me to balance a checkbook today, we might take a while. But I'm still a firm believer that, we need to be fiscally, not fiscally, but fundamentally financially responsible. As a country, we're not at all passing trillions of dollars in spending. We don't have trillions of dollars. Our credit rating has dropped as a country. We're gonna go U.S. national debt by year. By year. Come on, I don't want to see all this. Okay. We have never had what is this? Debt held in billion, rounded up. In 1929, we had $17 billion in debt. And add that into 2023, we are 33,167 billions in debt. 30,000, 22, 30,000. It went up $3 trillion this year alone. And when Trump was in office, it went 19, 20, 21, 22. The minute Biden takes over, it jumps up $4 trillion. Oh, but it's COVID-19. It's not. The problem is, we pay about $659 billion a year just in debt. Oh, that's just on interest. As of August 2024, the U.S. national debt was over $35 trillion. Think of this, and I want to say this, and I want to think of it like a business. If you own a business and you're saying making dog treats for, I don't know, lactose intolerant poodle, if your company is $35 trillion in debt, why are you still operating? And why haven't you solved the problem? Ask yourself that. We have $35 trillion in debt. 35 trillion. I can't get over that. All right, Franklin Roosevelt added, entered the office when the United States was in the depths of the Great Depression, the longest economic recession in modern history. FDR New Deal, a series of government-funded programs to fight the devastating effects. The debt went up when FDR took office because of the New Deal. However, the biggest contributor was World War II. Woodrow Wilson took over. It was $2.9 billion in debt in 1913. 1921 leaves office $23.9 billion. Ronald Reagan added over 1.6 trillion because he increased defense spending by 35%. W added about 4 trillion to the debt. Barack Obama added, well, I can't even see it, but they're saying 858 billion. But the national debt has grown over 7.29 trillion since Biden took office in 2021. They say largely because of COVID. The debt has grown by over 6.69 trillion under Biden. According to estimates, the Congressional Budget Office, Biden's American Rescue Plan is projected to add 1.9 trillion to the debt by 2031. So Biden signed a bipartisan infrastructure bill into law in November 2021. It provides funding for the improvements of roads, bridges, public transit, drinking water, and expanded access to the internet, among other initiatives. It's going to cost about $375 billion. Here's the thing. $34.1 trillion. $35 trillion in debt. The United States has the highest national debt of any of the world by amount. However, Japan has the highest national debt in terms of gross domestic product. Its debt makes up for 258.2% of its GDP. But it's just the national debt increased nearly 40 times under Abraham Lincoln from 1861 to 1865. Of those who were present in either the 20th or 21st, Franklin Roosevelt, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, George Bush presided over the three largest increase in terms of dollar. Joe Biden is on pace to join or surpass them all. And anybody out there who is still on the fence that is like, hey, maybe Kamala will be different. Most of that list was made up of Democrats, with the exception of Reagan and Trump. Not pointing fingers because I don't care about either party, but kind of disturbing. Under Donald Trump, from 17 to 2021, average annual growth on GDP is about 2.3, which has been about 2.4 to 2.3. Then Bush, Biden below that. Bill Clinton brought in 4%, Ford 5.4, John F. Kennedy 5.2 in that short term, LBJ, Gerald Ford. So when you guys look at it, yeah, no Scott tonight. He's not feeling well. This show really wasn't planned. That's why I called it freestyle. I ended up coming home and I'm like, I need to give these guys a kick-ass show. I got all this energy and I'm drinking coffee at 8 o'clock at night. So, here. But guys, I look at this and I say we are currently at a crossroads because look, the government wants you to be divided. Why? Because divided people make the government work better because now more people rely on it. The other people don't like it. So now there's a feud. People don't want to work together. The government then can step in and be like, hey, we're your savior. We're going to help you out. Here we go. This is how a civil war is going to unfold. They want you as a slave. And the fact is we have to work to pay the government, to work some more to pay the government. And here we all are. We argue over who letter is better next to the name, the D or the R. The history of this country, they don't care about you guys, and we all sit here and we treat them as if they are God sent. And oh, while I am thinking of it, Miss Taylor Swift, I know you don't watch our show, but we are never, ever, ever, ever going to forgive you for wanting to vote for Kamala. Not because you believe she's a great candidate, but because of the LGBTQ crap. And I'll be honest with you, again, I don't care. If you want to believe that you're Pepe Le Pew, by all means, go make out with a cat. But you got to remember, Taylor, that this is talking about kids who don't have legal say about being sexually mutilated, trying to, pretend that they're something they're not. But that's all I got to say about her. You can write good songs about breaking up with bad boyfriend. You ain't gonna write one about this one. Sorry, I'm eating dinner too. Multitasking. Well, okay, and and this election year keep going. We need to start thinking. What do we want that best for the country? Do we want a woman who's going to let people come through this country like an open door policy? Now look at Aurora, Colorado. Currently, they have an entire apartment complex that's been taken over by a Venezuelan gang forcefully. Do we want that? Do we want what's happening in Springfield, Ohio to continue? Look, I'm all for immigrants. Bring us your tired, huddled masses. I'm absolutely a fan of that, but do it the right way, and we need to vet the crap out of these people. Do we want 4 more years of people who just believe other countries' problems are ours? Look, let's help the world, heal the world. Let's do what we can to help everybody out. We are the torchbearer of the world, if you would. Fine. But the war in Ukraine, not our monkey. The Israeli war, there's rumors going around and some stuff I've been reading lately that I'm not even sure why we're still allies. You can't be pro Palestine either because neither one of them are innocent in any of this. Ukraine, I believe we're paying money not to support a war, but to pay off debt that a certain Biden may have accrued or to shut people up. But when we look back on these past 4 years and the 4 years under Donald Trump, things were affordable. Yeah, the media was losing their shit, but everybody seemed to be content. Under Joe Biden, unrest, unruliness, all the same bullshit. Crime going up, even though the FBI wants to play it off like it isn't. Homicides are up. Mental health is definitely down, which is a problem. While I'm thinking of it, sorry, mid rant, my mind goes kind of squirrely. I want to give a big shout out to the boys and girls over in Geared in Heaven. They are a wonderful organization geared up for motorsports enthusiasts who have dealt with tragedy. They have an event coming up on September 28th. If you're in the Connecticut area, I wish I could give you the exact location. I will post them on the OTPH page and on our YouTube page. But go check them out. The dude's awesome. Dropping! How the holy fudge are you? I would say other words, but I got a 14-year-old who's very impressionable sitting behind me. But when you guys break it down, our country is no better. In fact, it's a lot worse than it was 4 years ago under the evil tyrant that's going to become a dictator. Legally speaking, he can't. That's why we have these systems in place that we have. And if you really hate Donald Trump that much, may I recommend just vote him in office, give him 4 more years, and then he can never do it again. At that point, you'll have your Taylor Swift moment because we will never, ever, ever be getting back together with Donald Trump if you don't like it. Scott's not feeling well tonight. For those of you just tuning in, he wishes everybody the best. Next show that we do, he has no problem being a part of it. And we might do stupid political quotes because I'm still going to pick on Mitch McConnell as much as I can before someone puts the upgrade package into him. But when you really take time to think about this election cycle, you have an opportunity this November to decide which way you want this country to turn. It's a no-win because half the country is going to be pissed off. The other half of the country is going to be okay. But then the other half is going to do something. Hey, Jacole. Jacole? No? Oh, you're new. Okay. Welcome to the show, Jacole. Okay. I hope it's Jacole. Jacole? Please don't tell me it's a funky pronunciation. I'll mess that up every time. But when I think about it, yeah. And will I vote for Trump? I am 200% certain unless something between now and then comes up that would sway my opinion differently. Would I ever vote for Harris? Nope. I'll just skip out on voting that day because there's just no reason for it. No offense. And again, you have the right to believe who you believe is going to win. You have the right to vote for who you want to vote for. But to me, when I vote for somebody or the person I believe that can take us to another level, take us to the next step, help guide this country and make it what we all know. I love being an American. Make automotive great again. Well, yeah, no. Cars in general have sucked lately out of all manufacturers. Let's not even start talking about that because I can go for days on that. Where every car manufacturer apparently has forgotten how to produce good cars. Now you got me thinking. Give me a sec. Here's a list of NHTSA, National Highway and Traffic, by manufacturer. Ford Motor Company, 46 recalls, which is 16% of all the recalls. We have Volkswagen has a few, 13. The second highest is Chrysler. Third highest is Ford River Incorporated. Forest River Inc. What is that? I don't know. BMW of North America, followed up by Hyundai, followed up by Derrier Trucks, General Motors, Mercedes-Benz, Jayco, Kia America, Nova Bus, and Volkswagen have had some of the bigger ones. Let's see. Lost the drive power from fuel pump issue. Let's go to that recall because we have a Hyundai. Um, na, 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 na. And it tells me absolutely nothing. Sweet. Anyways, guys, yeah. Hey, Noodles, how you doing, buddy boy? Um, it wasn't Bridgestone, it was Firestone, and it was the Wilderness ATX tires that they were putting on the Ford Explorers, and I believe that was in the early 2000s, 01 to 04. Not much, Noodle. Glad to see you. Glad you're here. Scott is not here tonight. He's just not feeling well. But yeah, Chad, I remember the airbag because both my cars at one point had it. Currently, Ford actually just issued a recall because they have the same inflators and they're doing the same damn thing. I remember that Firestone because I found it really funny that the Explorer would turn into the Exploder. I got a warped sense of humor. What should I say? Um, but when you think about some of the recalls, there have been some pretty funny recalls. Toyota had to recall the Corolla one year, and I think it was in the early '90s, because where the airbag control module it was underneath the center console, and if you spilled a drink into it, it would actually short out that control module and may make your airbag go off unintentionally, which I kind of found funny. Only because I can kind of picture in my head what would happen. You spill the drink, go, ah, shit. Yeah, but then other time, like I had an '88 Honda Accord. For those of you who've never had one, go buy one. They're awesome cars. You can find one. It had a recall because it improperly told you how to install a child safety seat. That was it. Ford Windstar back in 1996 had a recall that basically the van would go into cruise control and not let go until you wrapped it around a tree. Uh, Toyota Camrys at one point was accelerating into preschool. Uh, I wish I can remember which one. But yeah, there's a lot. Listen, cars are not being built the way. Yeah, no, cars are not being built the way they were years ago, and the reason for that is every company is so driven on getting the car out because the next company is going to put one out that they don't spend enough time in R&D and all this other stuff, and then the next thing you know, oh shit, we got a problem. Toyota recalled a bunch of the Toyota Tundras with brand new newly designed engine because during the machining process there may have been metal fragments that could get into the engine and that could go through the critical parts of the engine, creating a catastrophic failure. That tells me there's no quality control because that's the first thing you should do is clean that thing all the way out. Anybody who's ever honed an engine, my friend Joe Barrow could tell you, you got to clean that thing really good to make sure everything came out of it. You don't want to leave anything at all. Uh, Ford is notorious for having recall after recall after recall. Oh yeah, my wife and I have a fairly new Hyundai, and let's just say we've learned features on the fly. It has a thing called auto hold on it, and what auto hold is basically acts as a trans brake. Where if you want to put that on, when you step on the brakes and stop, you can take your foot off the brake after it turns green. Because if you do it beforehand, you're rolling, and you could literally sit there at the light without your brake, put on the brake pedal. And when you start accelerating, it'll release. And I'm like, or I just hold the brake pedal. There's no traffic light in the world that's going to make me stand there that long. And if I know I'm going to be sitting for a while, I'm putting the car in park. We have sensors everywhere, sonar, radar, all this other DARs. And you're right, Chad. It is ridiculous when you think my car freaks out that it's going to crash about a car 500 feet in front of it turning right. And it starts. You're like, oh my God, calm down. And I thought I had ADHD. Uh, our car also will steer itself on the highway on cruise control in the right mode. Know how close we are to the car in front of it. It's just like, okay, so you're basically making drunk driving a hell of a lot easier. Um, and I'm still not a fan of all of it. There's some of them that I like, but most of them, if we did not have it, I would not miss it. Oh, speaking of Reagan, because I don't know if any of you guys saw my little headline underneath my name today. He's apparently now the number one ranked breakdancer in the world. I don't even know how to respond to that. Anybody got a joke? Fire it. I don't care. I've seen the meme. They're hilarious. Oh God, Chad. So basically, you have a microphone on the driver's seat, and you can fuck with people in the back. Oh come on, this is not a feature that should fall into the wrong hand. Uh, Your friend has an awesome car. I won't lie, because I would be sitting there going, "I am your father." Oh, thanks for doing that. Oh, Subaru. They haven't had a good car since the early 2000s. Probably a Forester. So, while I'm thinking of it, rest in peace, Mr. James Earl Jones. Sad day for Star Wars fans of the old AT&T commercial. Mufasa. He played the king in Coming to America and so many other wonderful roles. True gentleman, had a voice you can't mistake for anybody else in the world. Uh, Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. He was 93 years old. Yeah, I keep forgetting Field of Dreams, but that was a good movie for him too. He also was in The Sandlot, if you think about it. But I'm sorry, the best baseball movie ever was still Major League. Bob Uecker made that movie well worth watching. Just saying. Bob Uecker's still kicking too. That's awesome. But when you see, to me, the car economy is when we bought our car was actually cheaper than any of the used cars on lot. So that stands to tell you something. But yeah, ultimately, guys, this election cycle has to be thought about. You can't think you can't possibly think about anything more than what this country is now, and if you want to continue on that path. Again, I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. I'm not telling you anything more than I would rather trust the evil that I know, knowing that that evil created stuff that I can afford. The job market, millions of Americans have lost their jobs in the last year and a half. But Biden's touting, we made jobs. No, people went back to work at their jobs. Biden tells how great the economy is. The economy is a shit show. No, 75% of America has zero interest, zero faith in our economy right now, and that says a lot. So, guys, on the first Tuesday in November, don't even ask me what fucking date it is. Let's step back and think: what do we need? We need America to be better. I'm not saying great again. I'm not a big MAGA guy. We need to make America worth it. Right now, we're not. We're worthless. We're a joke. We're a run on gag, and everybody stopped laughing months ago. Will Jimmy Carter make it to 100? God, I hope so. He's a national. I mean, he was a horrible president, but duty the national treasurer, he's still building homes for Habitat for Humanity. And we have kids in their 20s that can't even identify a proper hand tool. Little quick story, although my 14-year-old is going to get a little mad at me on this one. Over the last weekend, I had to change the battery on the car. We're going to call it Adam Corolla. That's actually its name. So I needed to change the battery. As I took the positive terminal off, all was fine. Took the negative terminal off, and the actual battery terminal fell off in my hand. And I'm like, shit. Now I need a negative battery cable. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just go to the parts store. They're bound to have something that I can make work. Nope. Call around to 14 different parts stores. Nothing. Nobody has a single negative battery cable for my car. Call Belize Toyota. Great. Toyota dealership still take my car to it. They don't have one, and there's not one in a Toyota dealership north of Virginia. I'm like, crap, I'm screwed because I can't. The cable too short. I can't trim it off and put a new terminal end on it. It's not going to work that way. Oh crap! What am I going to do? Amazon. I went on Amazon within 5 minutes. Ordered it. Came in the very next day. But I decided time to have a little fun with junior me. See, my oldest in CTE, which is a trade school, well, vocational high school, if you would. And so he's not very tool smart. And so I handed him the ratchet, and I'm like, "Hey, why don't we put the screw back on?" Right? And he thought the tool was broken because it made a clicking sound. I'm like, no, that's normal. So about 6:15 on Sunday, the part came in that I was waiting on. I met the Amazon driver. I'm like, "Yo, dude, David Mason, if you want an ID, I'll show you." He's like, "Nope, nope, nope, you're good." Before he even got in the vehicle, I had already put the wire back in, but I decided, "My kid's out here. Let's have a little fun." "Hey, Ian, you wanna go start the car?" "Alright, go." He turned the key, nothing happened. "Dad, it's not starting." "Try again." "Dad, car's not starting. Why won't it start?" Well, let me give you" ha, 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 dropping. Let me give you a little heads up on why this is kinda funny. The battery was still on the passenger seat inside the car. So I go, "Alright, well, let's put the battery in and see what we got." Never registered that dad was messing with him for a few moments. Got the battery in, got it tied down, got it strapped in. "Alright, go try start it now." Vroom, the car fires right up. We're all like, "Yeah." So we clear out the tools. What happened too, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the 2008 Toyota Corolla, which we all should not be, that's a hell of a car. They have an electronic throttle body, and when you take the battery out, it becomes momentarily idle retarded. It can't find idle for about 15 minutes, so that engine runs like absolute dog shit. But we got that running, car's running fine. End of story. Politically speaking, I mean, it's a tough time because no matter what, the politicians are lying. Why is it that our sitting vice president will say, "Hey, if I'm elected, I'm gonna do dot, 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 dot," when in 3 years she ain't done squat, 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 squat. At her time as a senator, had not done squat, 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 squat. Kamala Harris in her time as the district attorney did not do squat, 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 squat. But yet, we have people out there that believe that Kamala Harris will bring them to the promised land because she's promising to do something that in 4 years she did not. She flip-flopped. She doesn't know what she wants. When your liberal counterpart call you liberal, there's a problem. Talking about defunding police, we should not defund police ever. What we need to do is better training. It should not be a 6-week course and here's your badge and a gun, have a fun time, dude. No, it should be required that you have to be either through a major training, a lot of training, updated training, training on your downtime, doing more training to learn how to de-escalate, to handle situations, to make things safer. Where your gun is your absolutely last resort. Bring me to another question. Tyreek Hill, what were you doing going to the stadium and then refusing to talk to the cops? Look, the cop amped up the situation anyway. The cop that was originally there, I've seen some of the body cam footage, but it's all depending on what station you watch and what they're trying to preach out to you. But the issue was he was not being very cooperative. Listen, whether you're right, you're wrong, you believe you're right, you think you're right, you should be right, cooperate. Hand them your ID. Don't make the situation worse, because then if you wanna fight the ticket, they can say, "Well, he was belligerent and started threatening me. I felt threatened, so I had to, put him in cuffs to detain him, so that way I felt safer while I conducted my investigation into why he was not cooperating." Am I saying that cooperation is the cure all end all? No, we're human beings. We all wanna tell the cops to go fuck themselves. I mean, obviously, you get pulled over, you're not happy, "Oh, everybody else is doing it." But the thing is quite honestly, compliance is gonna get you to go home at the end of the event, and then you'll have your day in court. But too often, we as Americans are not thinking clearly, politically speaking, because we are thinking about how much we hate politician A, politician B, and we're not voting for them because we hate them, because the media told us to. Donald Trump, yes, is an asshole. Yes, is a narcissist. Yes, is an egomaniacal jerk. But he didn't do a half bad job. He just dealt with the media and all the people in Congress who were not happy that he was not catering to their bullshit. But remember, he can't turn into a dictator. There is a system in place to prevent it. It is called the judicial system. It is called our military. Our military is not made up of government soldiers. They may work for the United States, but they're our family members. This is not Iraq. This is not Syria. This is not Egypt, where the people just let the government run wild. We have to take this country back, everybody. We have to push and push and push and tell these political leaders that enough is enough. We are over your bullshit. We are done with you guys spending money like it's yours. We are tired of you guys robbing us of our money. We are tired of all bullshit. Tired of it because have you guys have way more stuff going. We as Americans have to realize that we don't need politicians. We don't need celebrities to tell us who we should vote for. Because quite frankly, I do not trust Taylor Swift judgment. She's dating Travis Kelsey. I don't need to have Lady Gaga making political statements before a Super Bowl halftime show. Get up there, monkey, sing and dance, entertain me. I need to be brought up. Let's keep going down the line of what we don't care about from celebrity, politically speaking. I don't care who you endorse. That does not change my opinion one iota. You could be the biggest celebrity. You could be LeBron James. Oh, LeBron James. I'm LeBron James. I think I'm a great basketball player, though. I'm one of the biggest floppers, too, in the NBA. Eduardo, I know you're going to debate me on this. But here's the issue. Do I care? No. I'm a 44-year-old adult. I'm pretty sure I can make up my own mind for myself. I don't need some celebrity going, I endorse candidate A because candidate A aligns with my values. Congratulations, you just held out for 14 weeks on your team for an extra $1 million a year, and you think I'm going to sit there and appreciate your value? Think about it. We put so much stock into our political leaders and into our celebrities, and then we sit back when they say something stupid and be like, "Oh, I didn't think they would talk like that." Are you sure about that? When we look back on the last, let's say, going back to Obama, the divide in this country, we had Barack playing race cards. Listen, Barack, you were a great salesperson. You'd open your mouth and America would go, uh huh. But then you came out with the Affordable Care Act, and we all just sat back and went, no. Even a website developer did not plan that one thoroughly. Then we got Donald Trump. All right, 8 years under Obama, wars in Ukraine, war in this place, that. Donald Trump will be known as leading the insurrection on January 6th, which Kamala Harris, your presidential nominee to run this country, compared a day where one person died to September 11th, 2001. For those of you who were living under a rock, thousands of Americans lost their lives that day. The irreplaceable memory, the irreplaceable human, the buildings, the lives that were all lost that day. And you're going to sit there in front of a camera and go, January 6th, 2020. September 11th, 2001. And you're like, whoa, back the stupid train up, you rambling dumbass. Listen, January 6th was not that bad. If January 6th Commission, which we spent billions of dollars on to try to prove, came out with absolutely nothing than destroyed evidence, I'm curious, and I know I can find this. $3 million in 1 year in 2022 for that. And they still never came out with anything. And then when they impeached Donald Trump the first time, there was no due process. Legally, according to the Constitution of this great nation, you have the right to due process, meaning We're going to sue you. We're going to set a trial date. We're going to show you what we have. We're going to give you time to collect evidence, interview people. We're going to make sure that this is fair and balanced so the truth shall set you free. Nope. We have a star witness, a guy that saw you colluding with Russia, talking to them, and doing all this stuff we're claiming. But they will not be available for interview. I'm sorry. I am no legal expert by any means at all. Like, I have no right to give anybody legal advice other than I wouldn't do that. But if I have a star witness, somebody who can prove that you did wrong, motherfucker, I'm leading off with them. Now, a little fun story. When I was in high school, this was back in 1998, for those of you who are fans of Green Day. 1998, I was a junior in, was it junior? Yeah, junior in high school. We had a mock trial. This mock trial was the Dred Scott case. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Dred Scott case, this was the one where Dred Scott, a slave, was brought from the South to the North, where he would have been legally free, but went back to the South and then fought to be free. I wanted to be on the defense, not because I'm racist. I love black people. I love all races. I don't see color. I believe that if we gel, we're cool, no matter what you look like. Period. If I'm cool with a guinea pig, we hanging out. So I started diving into it. and my first thought was, this is kind of weird. Wonder if anybody told him he would be a free man. Wonder if anybody would ever have thought about that. So every kid in the class got to have a role, and I went up, and I'm the lead defense attorney, and I had a nice young lady partner, and I was talking with her about what we were going to do, and I looked her dead in the eye and go, I'm going to let you ask questions, but let me jump in first. She goes, why? I go, I got a couple gotcha ones that I really want answered. Then you can go and have fun with whatever you want, but I want to put those jury members are going to be eating out of my hand. She goes, oh, all right, yeah. So they had Harriet Tubman, who was one of the leaders of the Underground Railroad, yada, yada, yada. Well, what happened? So I interviewed her, and I'm sitting there, and I go, Miss Tubman, quick question. Did you ever inform Mr. Scott that he was a free man because he was in the North? No, I did not. So you're telling me you know the laws. You know the law states that any slave that is brought up to the North is free, but yet you didn't think it was needed to tell him. So Mr. Scott willingly went back down south with his owner, per se, and went willingly. He was not cuffed, he was not dragged, he was not kicking and screaming, he wasn't assaulted anyway, he wasn't threatened to be assaulted. He went willingly. Am I wrong? No, you're not. So why did you not tell him? Because if you would have told him, we wouldn't even be here. He'd be a free man right now. But since you didn't tell him, ignorance is not a defense. And you just see the jury go. And you see the teacher, who was the judge of the case, just sit there and go, like they never thought about it. And so I got an A on that assignment, obviously, because of all that work. My closing argument is nobody on the prosecution side thought that it would be a good idea to tell a slave that he was a free man the moment he crossed that Mason-Dixon line, but yet somehow now want him freed because he was free while he was up north, but because he willingly went back south, he should not be a free man because, quite honestly, he was not threatened with harm. He was not harmed in any way. He went willingly because they did not tell him he was free. Why should that owner now, who has him in the South, that is utilizing him for whatever he does down there, why should he have to lose because nobody wanted to tell the man the truth? In the history of my teacher doing these mock trials, I was the only one that ever won for the defense. Then I looked up how hard it would be to become a lawyer. Decided I didn't want to do that. Not at all. I don't have that kind of patience. But guys, it is about 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. I'm going to take off. I'm going to call it a night. 4 o'clock in the morning. Come very quickly. I got to go kick a teenager out of here too. So Guys, this has been the OTPH show. My name is David Mason. I am the Goose. We are here as often as we can, not as often as we would like, but life is kind of busy right now. So we're going to keep it up on Thursday. I am debating whether or not we move it to a different night just because of Thursdays are a little hectic, taking the 14-year-old to karate and some other things. Chad, you have a great night, my man. Nice having you guys here. Nice seeing you guys tonight. This OTPH show, like always, is brought to you by Dave's Logo Designs and Apparel. Go to daveslogoapparel.com for all the cool OTPH merchandise. But on top of that, we offer so much more. Go check out Gears in Heaven at gearsinheaven.org. Those guys are amazing, absolutely wonderful people. Jeff, I'm going to continue to shout you out whether you want me to or not. We love you guys here at the OTPH show because without you guys, I'm just talking to myself. Guys, I love you. Have a great night. And just remember, educate yourself. Don't believe everything people tell you. Get to the bottom of it yourself. Form your own opinion. But trust me, you'll be so much better for it, guys. Have a great night from us all here at the OTPH show. Take care.